Hello and welcome along as the Cross Series League Racing Championship returns this week. It's round 6. Oh, hello, that's our leader. That's Peterson. And Ross is just heading past him. We've just seen him flash through there. And Turn 1 claims yet another victim. Round 10 of the championship, and everything to play for a few of our drivers. As
there it goes.
There we go. I think there's just all of a sudden the daylight has fallen off the cliff, and there's people absolutely everywhere trying to find their way round, off track, left, right, and centre. Ghastly. We're hoping for certainly not a ghastly race, as he's really files and coats up onto that high line. Cower melting for a much lower one as we go green here for the final time at Lima Land. I mean, when you saw those two coming together in your mirrors, surely it must have been a big weight gone from your shoulders.
I just kept my foot in it and I just kept going.
Spoken like a true pro. Bit of a question. Obviously, are you going to remain? You're going to come out in a week's time. We're going to see you out on track as we head to Valencia.
Yeah, I plan to be there unless we get another last-minute decision to go racing here in real life. That was why I wasn't here last week. We decided to make a last-minute decision to go do some racing, and yeah.
And how did you get on?
What's that?
How did you get on? Obviously, when you went, well, I say real-life racing a couple of weeks ago.
Trey, let me put this to you in American terms. How well did you do last weekend?
Oh, pretty good, I think.
Here come the lights. Let's get ready to go racing in Germany for the first time. And Clog, he's jumped the start there. He's going to incur a penalty. Bouncing across the curves, the pair of them. And Thompson's finally going to let the run on him. He's going to be up the inside on the run down to Kike turn. And surely this is going to be from the lead. He backs out of him. Schenkler runs wide. But Thompson's finally got it. But here comes Ham. He's right into it, and he wants to plate off Schenkler. He runs from Rob Holt, salting his route right in these last stages. And let's get ready to go racing from Bristol in the grand final of round 5 of the XSLR Championship. And there's bang and Stein into the wall early.
The USA International Speedway is located in Lakeland, Florida, and it was opened in 1995, and somewhat of great acclaim. This 3/4 mile high-banked paved oval proved to be a popular venue for both races and NASCAR testing days alike, with its relatively long straights into tight banked turns that tested both the braking and suspension capabilities. It's clear why top NASCAR teams spent a lot of time in Lakeland, Florida. And unfortunately today, the USA International Speedways is confined to the history books. It was closed in 2008. A warehouse, in fact, now lies in its place. But thanks to the majesty of iRacing, we can once again hear the glorious sound of a V8 engine gracing the track with its presence. Welcome to round 11 of the Cross Series Racing League. My name is Sebastian Bosher-Williams. We have in the virtual production booth today Jonathan Grabowski, and alongside me, as ever, is Alex Andersen. Alex, after the frankly crazy scenes that we bared witness to in Talladega, how do you think our drivers will fare here today? Do you think it might be a slightly easier time for them, or are we going to see just as much carnage, just as much chaos tonight?
Honestly, this is a short track, so I'm leaning more towards the carnage and the chaos. For any of my good old American friends that know how short tracks are in the States, it can get very wild very fast. So I'm going for carnage and chaos. You're going to have people racing close with each other all the way around this 3/4 mile short track. Everybody's going to be on top of each other, and there's no doubt in my mind that we could probably see a bump and run, not only for random spots, but for the win on the last lap.
Oh, well, I certainly hope that we'll see something as crazy as that. I mean, I don't think I've recovered yet from Talladega, if I'm completely honest, and I don't think there's much. Yeah, there's nothing better to be doing than spending a Monday morning watching some NASCARs around the USA International Speedway. So, Alex, you mentioned this is a short track. How do you approach this? Is it, you know, explain to the viewers, and especially to me as somebody that doesn't normally frequent these cars, how different is it to a track like Talladega? How different is the driving style?
Well, you go around Talladega and Daytona and all tracks like them. It's all about manipulating the draft and the slipstream to race with the other cars and try and just put yourself in the best spot possible, using that slipstream to get runs and just slingshot by people. With the short track, it's a lot more different. You're going to see these guys on the brakes for every corner, no matter what. They're going to be on the brakes for the corners here. You can just see just cars or just trucks going into corners here. We have Brandon Gass. He'll be going into turn 3 this lap. Onto the brakes. You see the backfire out of the right side. These guys on the brakes, and then you have to get the car turned from there. And these are 3,500-pound stock trucks. So these things are not going to want to turn. So from going from a full throttle super speedway to a 3/4 mile short track that you have to slam on the brakes and throw it into the corner to get it to turn, it's a pretty big change, and I bet it's going to throw some guys off guard.
I think it certainly will. And again, cannot wait to get this race underway. Qualifying very much underway at the moment. Bobby Ross to the top of the timing stands with a 22.45, 500ths of a second quicker than last week's race winner Adam Thompson, with Sam Cook in third. Down the order we have Jerry DiPieri, the driver, who I think, if I get my facts wrong, and bear in mind it's just ever so slightly late in the UK, I was right. He was started pole in the last race. Currently is the lowest qualifier. Tim Cox is in 8th place. Actually was at an event earlier on with Tim. We've both sort of staggered home, as it were, driven. So we're all a little bit tired. So I've spoken to the 340 driver and says, you know, he's not really feeling too on his game. So that might be a little bit of an interesting story, Alex. What I was going to ask you is, you know, I remember when we were talking about Talladega and we were talking about, you know, how long the caution periods were. Do we think that might... do you think that... I'm going to ask you, is the caution lap as slow as it was at Talladega, or is it a little bit quicker, just to say Andersen to the provisional pole slot as well?
The caution laps here definitely be a lot shorter. Pace speed, I believe, if I check the info screen real quick, pace speed is 45 miles an hour and around a 3/4 mile short track. I'm not sure what that is in kilometers an hour, but 3/4 of a mile goes by pretty quick at 45. So I'm going around 45 seconds to a minute-long caution lap. So we will not have to wait as long as we did for the Talladega caution lap. So it is going to go by a lot quicker, as it looks like. Jason Freight's just set his first lap. That puts him up into P10 there with a 23.93. He's going to go into turn 3 on his second lap here, getting a nice hook on the bottom, a little bit loose there, a bit sideways out of that corner. Doesn't get it up to the wall the way he probably would have liked. Across the line, it's going to set him up to P6 though with a 22.62. Great effort from Jason Freights, and actually, fun little fact, that was only 1,000th faster than Brandon Gass's time.
Incredibly close margins. We always tend to see it in the Cross Series Racing League, and even more so in the oval section. I mean, this is the second to last oval race that we'll have in this phase of the championship. We've had 2, we're going to have 2 more, including today's race, and then we're on to the dirt road. So, you know, this is a really good opportunity, isn't it, Alex, for the drivers that prefer the paved oval section to really score the points now, just in case that, you know, the rallycross car doesn't suit their driving style. Do you think that that might start to impact the racing? Drivers starting to feel the pressure, knowing they've only got 2 more rounds to make good on their pace, as it were?
I would say probably, yeah. I know a lot of the oval drivers, like I'm pretty sure I've been mentioned. I'm not sure if he's in the session, but Jake Hammer, I know he's very good on ovals. I don't think he's in the session with us tonight, though. He's a very good oval driver, though, and a lot of these guys that are really good on the ovals, they're definitely going to be looking for some speed here tonight, because the dirt road section, it's so different from what these guys have to go through on the paved ovals. So definitely going to be some guys taking advantage of that.
So here is your grid for round 11 of season 4 of the XSLR Racing League, and Magnus Andersen has a storming pole position lap, a 22.284. That was the time to beat. And Jake Ham, he was in second place, so he'll start alongside Magnus Andersen. On your second row of the grid, it will be Bobby Ross and Adam Thompson. Thompson, of course, won the last race. Can he do the same today, I wonder? The third row is inhabited by Sam Cook and Jason Freites. Brandon Gass and Kevin Irwin round out your row 4. Jimmy Howard in P9 with James Keir in 10th place. Tim Cox in 11th with Jerry DiPiero in 12th, with David Da Silva in, Josh Clogg in 13th place, with David Da Silva in what would be 14th place. There's a slight administrative error that you're seeing on your screen. I am most definitely not in the race, and you can blame me for not quite understanding how to join an iRacing session. I've only been on the service for about 4 years now. So, Alex,
Seb, you're giving us the good in-car commentary there.
Well, I'm a man of many talents, and you know, driving, unfortunately, though, is not one of them.
Hey,
Alex,
me too, don't worry.
How would you play the start? Do you want to be aggressive as it's a shorter track? Do you want to start making the moves? Or is it all about waiting until those final few laps, just saving the car, saving the tyres, and then, you know, using all of that pace at the end?
For me, it's definitely going to be the waiting game. 75 laps here tonight. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it can feel like a lot when you're behind the wheel of one of these big, heavy NASCAR Chevrolet Silverado trucks. So definitely going to try and be saving the tires in the back if I were to be racing. Just trying to slog through 75 laps and just hopefully be there at the end with a clean truck.
Highway, do you think that that's going to be a factor today? Do you think, you know, if it does go green for the entirety of the race, which, let's face it, will be very unlikely, will we see green flag pit stops for drivers to take new tyres?
Most certainly. That happens on pretty much every oval track that isn't a super speedway like Talladega or Daytona. So the tires, I would assume they're going to start wearing really bad around lap 20, which is when these guys are going to have to start worrying about when they're going to end up pitting to try and put on some new shoes and get some more speed out of their trucks.
As the pace car rounds turn 3 and 4, we get ready to go racing. Magnus Andersen is on the pole. He's in the 72 machine. Alongside him is Jake Ham in the 85. That will be your front row. Your second row, Bobby Ross and Adam Thompson. Thompson starting in the high lane. What can he do? I was going to say we're about to go green, but we have one extra pace lap, getting slightly ahead of myself. But I think it's going to be crucial to watch that second row, especially the 33 of Bobby Ross. He's got the best view of when Magnus Andersen decides to get this race underway. He can get the jump, and he has got the low line as well, which might allow him just to maybe get past Jake Ham. But, you know, Jake Ham, let's not count him out. He won the first race in the oval portion of the series. He dominated the field at Phoenix, so he is a very, very competent oval driver as well. As they round the final corner, we get ready to go racing in round 11. Magnus Andersen goes early and he already has the lead. Jake Ham covers down to the low lane. Everybody gets away slowly. In fact, it's the 33 and Adam Thompson going side by side. But look at this, Ham now trying to make a move, trying to work that low line early on in the race. He sends it down low into turn 3, almost contact between the leading pair, but they get away fairly nicely. Oh, a little bit of a contact there, I think, between Ross and Thompson. Andersen leads, but Ham very aggressive on the opening lap of this race. Alex, Andersen now dropping back. I think he had an issue. Erwin or somebody, I think, is in the wall, and we have our first caution, and that was very, very quick. Was that Kevin Owen, I wonder, Alex?
Believe it might have been, as it looks like we're about to get a replay here soon. I do believe that was a great move from Jake Ham to take the lead. Andersen tried to dive in the corner there, and Jake Ham took advantage of it, got to the inside. But here's Kevin Irwin going into turn number 1. Just looks like on the brakes, the rears just didn't like what he was doing. Ends up spinning that truck around, a bit of an overcorrect, gets it stuck in the wall, and not able to get that truck refired, so has to tow back to the pits. That's going to be a pretty lengthy tow. Unfortunate for him, but that's just how it goes sometimes. And like I was saying, that was a really good move from Jake Ham to take the lead of that race. It looked like Magnus Andersen, he tried to diamond turns 1 and 2 on the first lap just a little bit, and it ended up with Jake Ham being able to get to his inside and just stick there for the 2.5 laps that we were green, it looked like, and he had his nose out front when they got the yellow, and ended up being able to take the lead as we enter our first caution of the night.
So everybody just fairly pedestrianly just lapping around the circuit, and we will very soon get ready to go racing. So the drivers that really gained in that opening section were Brandon Gash, Jimmy Howard, Tim Cox and Josh Clogg, and Freights lost out. So did James Kia. David De Silva, he also managed to gain 3 places from the start. So drivers either gaining or losing a fair chunk of places before the first caution flew. And then we're going to see much more of the same in the next phase of the race. Nobody has decided to pull down into pit lane. Nobody really wanting to take the gamble of coming into the pit so early on in today's proceedings. If you are Andersen, Alex, do you want to make the move? Do you want to get past Ham almost as a statement to say, I can lead this race, you know, I have the pace, I have the ability to, or do you just want to stick behind Jake Ham, just lap away, conserve the tyres, and know that you'll be able to get past him, or at least have a better chance towards the end of the race?
Well, the more you race the other trucks, the more your tires wear out. So if I'm Magnus Andersen, I'm just going to see what I can do. I know I got pole, so he'll know he has speed behind the wheel of that 72 truck. He got pole, so he will have good speed. And if he can just save his tires well, just ride along the back bumper of Jake Ham, and when Ham burns his stuff up after feeling the pressure from realizing he can't pull away from the 72 truck, Ham will burn his stuff up, and Magnus Andersen can just scoot on by to the lead, and probably, I would assume, take the win if there are no other yellows, but that's a pretty bold statement in this race.
I think we barely made it 2 full laps of racing before we had our first caution. So the safety car still out. Of course, it's a much shorter track than the tracks that we've raced on previously, which is why we've got more laps under the pace car. The pace car lights are out, and that can only mean one thing: we are about to get ready to go racing for the second time in today's proceedings, and this time it will be Jake Ham on that low line. He will be the driver to decide when we get going. The second row remains unchanged. It's Ross on the inside, Thompson on the outside, and then we've got Cook and Gas, the 15 and the 4 on your third row. All eyes, though, go towards the 85 of Jake Ham as they round turns 3 and 4. Well, Andersen want to replicate the move that Jake Ham did at the very start of this race, but we get ready to go racing. Ham gets a good slingshot out of the final corner, but down the inside looks the 33 of Ross. He's working that low lane as well, and Andersen is starting to lose more places. Thompson is going to get similar liveried, I should say. Slow motion broadcasting entry to Adam Thompson. Thompson on that low line, going to make it 3 wide. Cars going a little bit slow in the background. Cook losing out a position. It's all looking fairly even, but that is looking very... Oh, that's contact between, I think, the 340. No caution called yet. That's on board, I do believe, with Tim Cox. And wow, Alex, again, lap 2, turn 1, proving very deadly, but at least we didn't have a caution.
Yeah, from what I tell, it looked like a bit of an outbreak, maybe a bit of a misjudged braking point from Tim. He could have tapped the wall on the entry of that corner as well. Did a good job keeping it from going around, but ended up losing a lot of time from that. He is currently the last car on the lead lap now, but currently we have pretty much a 3-way battle for the lead as everybody up front tightly packed under a blanket. Nobody making moves just yet, but everybody's still really close to each other as they try and make some moves.
So I mentioned that both the 244 and the 4 car have a very similar livery. I tell you what, you can tell the difference is Adam, the 244, has a very big picture of his dog. Thompson working that inside line, trying to make his way past Andersen. Andersen slowly being worked down the order. In fact, it's not Andersen, is it? It's Ross that he's racing with. Ross on the high line. Thompson, though, really finding all the pace. Contact there between Thompson and the third and 3 across. Ross now loses another place. He's a little bit left out to dry on the high line. Andersen now tries to make his way through. Andersen trying to reclaim the lost places so far in this race. And Jimmy Howard in the background there, the 37, just watching all of this unfold. The last lap was a tie in terms of quickest lap between Ham and Thompson. Very interesting race we have in store for you today, Alex. Andersen, though, looks like he's really struggling out there, and you wouldn't really expect that from your pole sitter. In fact, it looks like he's got a little bit of damage to the rear right of his car for good measure.
That's probably just some short tracks, well, I can't think of the word I'm looking for there, but just spoils of war from short tracks. You know, everybody tightly packed so tightly together. People end up hitting the wall, people end up hitting each other, and it just ends up with minor damage like that. It's a short track, though, so it shouldn't affect him too much. Now we have to see what Adam Thompson can do to try and run down the 85 truck to take the lead from the number 85. Brandon Gass is in the picture as well. But to answer your question with Magnus Andersen back there, it looks like he's settled in 4th for now, but still just trying to hang on in that truck. He still is fast enough to keep within this main pack of 4 trucks, but very unfortunate. He's going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to try and make a move back for that lead again.
He's certainly on an uphill battle. You're certainly right there, Alex. You see the 7 or the 72. Oh, a little bit wide off turns 3. That won't be helping him whatsoever, not in terms of his pace, and certainly not in terms of his tyre wear as well. I think something's happened to the 88 of Keir. He's falling down the order. There he is. That looks like a very damaged Chevy Silverado. Is he going to be able to make his way back to the pits? He's got a huge chunk out of the left-hand side. That's surely not just a little bit of contact with the wall. That looks very much car-induced. The car looks like it's crabbing as well, Alex, and he just needs, doesn't he, to keep it smooth, keep it on the track, keep it pointing in the right direction, get back to the pits. Otherwise, we could be looking at a second caution in fairly quick succession.
Well, he's already in the pit, so I reckon he's going to take that faster pair. There he goes into the pit lane. So I reckon he'll take that faster pair, even though he knows he'll go down a couple of laps. But rather have a clean truck than run around in a destroyed one. That's not going to do you any good, as Adam Thompson has closed this gap up quite well. Last time we checked, it was around 4/10. Now it's under 2 as they break into turn 3 for the 19th time tonight. Rounding turn 4 to collect lap 20. There you can see the times Thompson has gotten off these corners and through these laps. Updating to lap 19 there, gained about 700ths that lap. So Adam Thompson definitely faster than the 85 truck, just currently trying to get the move done. Bit of a block on Brandon Gass there as Gass tries to make a move for second, onto the apron even.
Yeah, teammates almost colliding. Thought they were going to be working together, but I think that theory's very much gone out the window. Gass trying to find his way through down the inside. Though looks Andersen. Andersen trying to make his way past Gass. Does so successfully without really that much contact. Quite surprising. I took a step back from my monitor. Gass tries to have a look down the inside, heading into turns 3 and 4, but cannot find a way through. And now that allows Ross, the 33, to get involved in on the action. Andersen now back up into the podium places, but Thompson still in second, but starting to fall slightly away from Jake Ham on that last lap. I think Freights and Cox as well having a little bit of a battle further down the order. Freights trying to find his way past the damaged 340 car. And surely if you are Tim Cox in that car, you're hoping, you're praying for a caution, Alex, so you can come in, take your fast repair without losing too much time, because if Tim was to come in, you know, he'd be several laps down, just like Kevin Irwin is and James Keir is as well.
Yeah, it might be worth it to head down the pit lane, though, because that is some very major damage. It's actually 3 wide for these guys off turn 2. That's David De Silva, Tim Cox, and the 84 truck of Jason Freights. Freights going to lose 2 spots there. David De Silva clears him as well. Tim Cox moves himself back up into the top 10. But I would say he definitely might want to take the chance of pitting here and try and risk it, because that is some major damage to that 340 truck, and I'm willing to bet money it's majorly affecting the handling of that truck.
See how high it's pushing as he enters turns 1 and 2. It looks a little bit more collected for the back end of the circuit, but that car does not look fun to drive. 25 though, into the wall a little bit. That might give Freights a little bit of an incentive maybe to have a look up the inside on the exit of turn 2. And yeah, Freights now on the inside. They're going to go side by side on the exit. The 84 will have the inside line. The 25 has got a little bit more pace as he's running a slightly higher line. All while these two are battling, the 340 manages just to escape a little bit further down the road. They're still side by side. They enter the second lap. The 25 though goes oh so wide. Will he be able to collect the car? And actually, in all fairness to the 25 of De Silva, yes, he has. But look at that in the background. Andersen, Thompson and Gas separated by, well, about a car length in terms of the track. Contact between the 4 and the 7, or the 72. And this is where the race is really going to be decided, isn't it, Alex? They need to be clean, but they need to watch Ham and not really allow him to get too far up the field. Yeah,
but barreling towards lap 30 in this race, and in this run overall around lap 25, the tires are going to start to wear down for these guys, and I would reckon that's where Magnus Andersen has found so much speed right now in this truck. He's saved the tires, just riding in line behind everybody, and now he's turned on the afterburners and is barreling towards our leader. I assume to take it away again.
He certainly looks like the fastest car out on the circuit, and you know, I think I have to apologise to Magnus Andersen, because as you said, it's a tall order to get up to the front, but he's currently already in second place. We're not even halfway through the race so far. He's got a great opportunity at taking back his lead and extending it if possible. So Gas is now the lead SMB car. Thompson back down into 5th. Wonder if he can do the Andersen impression of just stay behind, let everybody burn their tyres out, and maybe go for another attempt. We ride aboard with Magnus Andersen. Gas trying to have a look down the inside, trying to goad him in making a mistake. Sorry, we're actually on board with Ross as we head through the exit.
It's still about a 5-truck battle for the lead, but Adam Thompson just went from 2nd to 4th there in just a second to 5th in just a couple of laps. So I reckon he's burned off the tires a little bit more than he would have hoped. So that's where it's going to start to get tight. Or for the road racing term, it's going to start to understeer a lot through these corners, and it's going to get very difficult to drive around this short track. So I would reckon Adam is starting to struggling a little bit there behind the 244 truck, but somebody that's not struggling is the man that is chasing down our leader, Magnus Andersen, has really turned on the jets as of late.
Oh, he certainly has. Contact, I hear. I think somebody into the wall, not quite sure who that was. I think it might actually be De Silva in the 25. So at this point of the race, Alex, do you think the drivers are now starting to think about having to make a green flag pit stop? I mean, we've only had one caution so far, and that was at the very start of the race. Everything else, or everything since then, has been fairly clean. You know, will the drivers be thinking of a green flag pit stop?
Well, I reckon eventually they might get so far into the run where it might be a possibility, but now that I think it over, I don't think a 75 lap race around here is about the length of your average iRacing C fixed race, which is around 70 to 75 laps for a short track like this one. And people usually only pit in those races if there's a caution, so I reckon that's exactly going to be the same mentality for these guys in this race. If there's a caution, they're probably going to pit, but if they go green, I reckon they're just going to stay out, try and just ride around, and just try and save their stuff as best as they can, and just keep themselves in a good position.
Leads the races. Thompson comes into the pit, so he's gambling that we will not get another caution. And will he take tyres? I think it's almost certain that he will. As he rides down the pit lane. It's a really long pit lane here, considering how short of an oval track it is. He stops in the box. I think we're going to see the car head up on the jack. So he's revving the engine. No, he's not. So Thompson is not taking tyres, but he will go a lap down, crucially for him. So you see that Ham, Andersen, Gas, Ross battle go through, but Thompson can now see almost his prey up ahead of him, Alex. But are you surprised he didn't take tyres?
Yeah, I definitely thought if he would have come down the pits, especially at around the halfway point in the race, I thought he would have taken tires there maybe to try and just better himself. But there are also several other trucks that enter the pit lane. David De Silva, you see him coming off right there. Sam Cook went into the pits as well for, I presume, tires. So these guys, they're obviously coming into the pits because they want tires. And now you're going to see a bunch of people come into the pits as well. There's DiPiero, Tim Cox, and Jimmy Howitt. And second, third, and fourth also just entered the pit lane behind Tim Cox. There they are. Jake Ham stays out for the moment, but it looks like I stand corrected as green flag pit stops are well underway. And I wonder if these guys have limited fuel. And it looks like they do, actually. They have 30% fuel on, so the pit window was from lap 20 to 50. So these guys did have to end up taking fuel to make it to the end of this race.
Andersen takes tyres, so Pole Sitter decides that he wants new tyres. That looked like only on one side, though. So Thompson didn't take tyres. We know that for certain. I think the 4 of Gas and the 33 of Ross as well. Jake Ham is in the pits. This is crucial. What does the race leader do? Does he take tyres just like Andersen, or does he gamble and not replace his worn rubber? You're right, the cars are limited in fuel, but they have made it past the halfway point, so they should be able to get to the end without needing to make another stop. Of course, that will only get easier for them if we have another caution, and that looks like to me that Tam is taking tyres. But we have a caution. Caution is out. And what will that do to the race lead? It is Andersen who is round. And Alex, A, I wasn't expecting a caution, but B, for it to be, you know, Andersen, our pole sitter, the driver who had done so well in this race, to make a mistake. And I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out, but I think that's played beautifully into Jake Ham's hands.
He also does have Adam Thompson going to be restarting right behind him. Gas and Bobby Ross are going to be with him as well, so it looks like Magnus Andersen is the only one that came up suffering out of that. Everybody else came out pretty fine after the green flag pit stops. Magnus Andersen have a very long uphill climb from 9th to try and get back to the lead of this race.
The issue that Adam Thompson has got, and so is I think Gas and Ross, I think they both did take at least some tyres. But the problem that Adam's got is he didn't take any tyres, so he's on his original set, while Ham, you know, he's got new tyres, so Thompson is really facing an uphill battle. And then if you're Gas and Ross, you know, you've now got to try and get past Thompson to make your way to attempt to overtake Ham, because, I mean, Thompson is just not going to have it anywhere near the pace of the cars around him that have got new tyres.
Yeah, and I would assume that Thompson, I mean, he's going to try all he can to stay up here, but I just don't know if those old tires are going to hold up on him, especially 43 laps into the race. That's over halfway. Tires are probably going to be feeling a lot of that. But Brandon Gass, I would assume, probably going to have a pretty good shot to get around Jake Ham, although pretty much everybody in the field has damage except our leader, which is typical for a short track. The leader pulls away, just keeps his car clean, and then everybody else behind them is stuck in a slugfest. So very easy for J-Cam to pull away here, but I reckon that everybody behind him is going to be able to give him a shot.
If you were Thompson in the 244, do you think about coming down to pit lane, getting a new set of tyres and gambling? Or if you just, you know, you've as the saying goes, you've made your bed, now you've got to sleep in it. You've just got to commit to your strategy and just hope that later on in the race it works out for you?
I would reckon if I'm driving a Thompson's truck, I'm just going to stay out. You know, he's already pitted. He's, like you said, he's already made his bed. So I would say just keep the track position, just keep that truck up there and try as hard as he can to get those tires to work and hold on as we enter the final 30 laps of this race.
And what 30 laps we have in store for you, but just have enough time to have a mention of one of our sponsors for today's race, Nexus Fab. The Nexus Fabrication specializes in metal fabrication and manufacturing for both commercial, residential and custom projects. They also do signage, furniture, metal repair work, and you can visit them at nexusfab.com to find out more. And also Chet Duranic, the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation is a non-profit. It's volunteer-fueled and it's dedicated to finding cures for Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. It improves the quality of life of children and adults affected by these diseases. And you can visit them at the Crohn's Colitis Foundation.org. So Jake Ham, the 85, he is the race leader. This is the second time he will bring the field back to green. Thompson in second place with a heavily damaged car, a lot to the outside of his Chevy Silverado truck. It's Gas in third, Ross in fourth, and it's only Thompson that wants to...
I think Adam has made a bit of a mistake in terms of race controlling, because I just looked in the iRacing chat and it just says Adam Thompson has changed the caution length to 18 laps to green. So I think that's maybe a little bit of a mess up on his part. Hopefully that gets fixed soon and we don't have to sit through 18 laps of caution flag, because I might run out of dumb stuff to talk about if we have to sit through that. But hopefully just an officiating mistake, is hopefully we'll get this race restarted this upcoming lap.
Thank you very much, Alex. Yeah, I went silent because I was my brain was trying to comprehend what I was reading. So the field now start to form side by side, 2 by 2. You're right. There's been no update to race control timing screen to say that the caution has been updated or changed. So I think, you know, Thompson at the moment is trying to fix whatever issue he's got. I mean, you know, just to give him the benefit of the doubt, it's a really difficult job that he's got to do, because he's currently driving.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I can tell you real quick, the lights are off on the pace truck, so we are going to get going green this time. Bye.
Thank you very much, Alex. You're right. Pace car lights are out when we get ready once again to go green. So Ham, this will be the second and a half times that he has taken the field to green. They're side by side as you see everybody around the final corner. Ham goes very early. Gas already got an inside line on Thompson. Thompson's going to be working that high line, trying to find his way past. Is Ham gone on the back straight? No, he hasn't. I think there was a bit of a glitch with my timing software. Ham's got a great start. Thompson trying to defend from Gas in second. Ross as well, gaining as well for fourth place. They're 2 by 2. That's second through fifth. Oh, but the 33 gets pushed out wide. He's now going to be coming under pressure from Andersen, Di Piero and Tim Cox, although I think Tim is a lap down compared to everybody else in the race. But a fairly clean start, and once again Alex Jake Ham mastering those restarts.
Yeah, he's pulled out a pretty healthy margin, around 0.4 of a second right now, but I'm definitely not counting out that 4 truck. Just made up a 10th through 3 and 4 alone when they went into turn 3 that time. It was around a 0.5 of a second gap, so Brandon Gass doing a great job behind the wheel of this 4 truck, making up some time, and I would assume he'll probably make a run for the lead to see the gap continuing to close as they round turn 4 one more time.
Oh, it's the big check up there. It's Ross and Clock, the 33 and the 199 have a little bit of a battle. Andersen getting involved as well. The 84's got a tank swap, but he's spinning through the field. Will that be a caution? Yes, it will. With 25 laps to go, we have our third caution of the event. Everybody backs off the throttle. Alex, what do you make of that?
Well, are you talking serious or non-serious? There's two ways I can go about this right now.
Go with whatever you feel like, Alex.
All right, well, you know what? We'll share both takes then. That just looked like a little bit going too hard into the corner there and just ended up sending him around. Unfortunate, but it's going to affect his race majorly. And now my non-serious explanation of what exactly just happened. I'm gonna go with NASCAR in real life predicted this, because at this exact moment, when that yellow came out, I'm watching the cup race on my phone off to the side, and there was a yellow from two cars spinning at the exact moment the caution came out in here. So I'm going to say NASCAR did the commentator's curse on this one, and that is how the yellow came out.
I like that theory. I've not heard a theory like that before, but yeah, I quite like it. Just to inform you, James Keir, worth a shot. So James Keir has got the lucky dog. He was the last car, or the first car that was a lap down, so he gets to reclaim his lap. De Silva, he's into the pit lane, and everybody now has to slowly make their way around the circuit once more. So you know the saying is cautions breed cautions. Is it now going to have to be NASCAR cautions breed iRacing cautions?
I don't know, honestly. It depends on what the drivers in the real-life NASCAR race going on right now take for tires, and if any of those tires blow through one of the corners. But actually in the real-life race, nobody coming down the pits on this yellow, and nobody coming down the pits into the iRacing yellow that we're currently looking at. So definitely two similar objectives for these drivers, just to try and finish this race out. We got 22 laps to go in our race here at USA International, and I would reckon these guys are probably just going to try and stick it out as long as they can. But I would assume that as we round just 20 laps to go in this race, the guys are going to start to get a lot more aggressive behind the wheel of their trucks. And I would assume that, yeah, cautions are going to start to breed cautions, whether in real life or on the sim.
A little bit. I was almost expecting Thompson just to dive down the pits, just get you know, a fast repair in, because surely by the amount of damage that he's got to the side of his truck, that would be causing him at least a little bit of pace loss, get some new tires and just go for it. But he has decided to stay out, so it'll be gas this time on the outside line with Ham very much once again on the inside. The pace truck still has its lights on, so at least one more lap of pacing. Does anybody feel the need or have a little bit of a gamble at diving down pit road? No, they do not. So nobody really taking the opportunity to come into the pits, and unusually we've really only had green flag pit stops in Cross Series Racing League oval race. It's got to be some form of record. What's happened to Jake Ham? Jake Ham, is he disconnected? Has he lost internet connection? Oh, I think he's just got back.
Just blinked out a little.
Just blinking. And heart in mouth moment for both us in the commentary booth and for Jake Ham, but he is back. His internet is okay, and we get ready once again to go racing around the USA International Speedway. Ham has been the master of restarts all race long. Can he do it for a third time? I wonder. He gets away cleanly. Gas a little bit squirrely on the exit. That's going to get the inside line to Thompson. Thompson, oh, but the 33's been contact. He's been pushed. Andersen as well involved. It's still green. No caution thrown yet, but contact between the 33 and Andersen in the 72. Andersen race just goes from bad to worse. The 25 is on the high line trying to make his way. It's three wide in the background there between the 7, the 72 and the 84. They all managed to make their way safely through. And Alex, once again, we're seeing incidents that we surely think are going to be cautions end up not being cautions at all. And thankfully for the drivers, we're still under green flag conditions.
Well, the way that iRacing works with that is pretty much for wrecks shortly after a yellow. If everybody keeps it straight for the most part, nobody's stopped dead in the center of the racing line, iRacing's not going to throw a yellow, so pretty lenient on that restart. And thankfully, all the drivers were able to get their trucks pointed back in the right direction, so we can watch the battles for the lead and all over the track here. You got a three-way one for P7. This is Jerry DiPiero, David De Silva, and Max Andersen. Magnus Andersen punts David De Silva. Sam Cook plows into the back of it. James Keir involved as well. And that is a bump and run gone all wrong, it looked like.
Yeah, you're certainly right there, Alex. And so we have our fourth caution of the event. And everything calms down on the circuit once more. And Jake Ham must be, you know, thinking, what's going on in this race? All I've seen is fairly clear track. But actually, he's probably seen more of the back of the pace truck, at least in recent laps. So Gas still in second place, had a good run on that caution. Was a little bit compromised at the start though. Thompson trying to get past him, but that new tyre advantage really helping the Ford truck out. See, Jake Cam is communicating over the driver's radio. That's one thing I love about iRacing is that you can, you know, the drivers can talk to each other. Thompson, the 244 truck, he is into the pit, so maybe he is watching the broadcast or just had the same thought that I was sort of muting earlier on. Come into the pits, you know, get a new set of tyres. Who knows how many more cautions we're going to have in this race? As we see, that's Freight's getting the lucky dog. So that's the second time that we've had a caution where the 340 truck, Tim Cox, has been one place away from getting the lucky dog. Tim would have gotten it if Freight hadn't got past him. So that's a really crucial move there for the 84. In fact, he also moves past James Keir as the 88 truck comes into the pit. So Freight, quite unusually, in a caution period, he's gained a lap back and overtaken somebody for position. So a fairly good run there from the 84 truck.
Yeah, most certainly. He's probably going to use those fresher tires to try and make a late race charge back towards the front. Back on the lead lap now as well is Jason Freights in the 84 truck. So definitely going to be able to try at least to make some moves to try and put himself in a better position. But the one thing that I'm starting to get nervous about is the desperation that's going to come out of some of these drivers. I mean, Josh Clogg back there in third, probably disappointed after that result last week at Talladega. Now, I reckon he's going to try all he can to improve that. Just one more spot to come out on top here tonight. And as we continue to restart with so few laps left in the race, you gotta wonder, I mean, are the drivers going to just start making moves out of desperation to try and get up front? Because they can follow each other pretty easily, but especially for the lead, it's not been the easiest place to pass. So you got to wonder if these guys there might start getting desperate and start to try and move each other out of the way using their bumpers.
How do you deal with that sense of desperation at the wheel, especially under these cautions? Do you have to actively calm yourself down, or do you find that as soon as you get into a racing situation that all of that sort of goes out the window and you just start to focus on the racing? Because it always really fascinates me the sort of the mental aspect of motor racing, and surely, you know, if you are Gas in second place at the moment, you know, that win is so close to your grasp, you know. Yeah, how do these drivers manage it?
Well, if you're Jake Ham, you probably just got to play all for defense, you know? You know it's a short track. You know what it'll come down to if somebody is right on your back bumper going into 3 and 4 on the white flag. So probably all going to be defense out of that 85 truck. But if you're somebody like Brandon Gass or Josh Clogg or Jimmy Howitt trying to win this race from 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, it's going to be all offense for them as they try all they can, even if it comes to them dumping the leader to try and win this race.
So, like I said, pretty much every restart so far today, it'll be Jake Ham on the inside line. He is your lead car. Gas in the high line. The second row is Clogg and Howard. Watch for the 244 car of Thompson. He's in the back. Got a good start there from Ham. Got a good jump. Howard now into second place. Clogg falling down the order. Huge incident though, that's
Oh.
the big one. Huge, and who is involved? I think that's Di Piero. Gas is involved, Kia, the 84 as well, and Gas starting in second now finds himself down in 8th place. Actually, yeah, so it's Thompson that was up, and that is a very damaged car. It'll just
I thought I saw a helicopter in turn 1. I saw somebody flying in the air. I think it was David Da Silva, who we're looking at right now in the number 25 truck, but somebody was airborne there, and definitely somebody was airborne, maybe even upside down.
Your eyes did not deceive you, Alex. Yeah, I do believe it was the 25 upside down, left, right, and yeah, certainly you could name a few lyrics that would aptly describe what he was experiencing in the cockpit. So 9 laps to go in this race, another caution. That's the 5th caution of today's proceedings. We talked about desperation, and that desperation really becoming evident. Thompson, we should point out, he came into the pits in the last caution, started 9th, after one corner finds himself in 5th place. No damage, I think, sustained to his car. As you see Gas just pull out of the pits. I think you've got to let everybody by. I mean, surely Jake Ham now, he's got to start to feel nervous in the car. He's got to, there's surely going to be tension building, because, you know, he needs just to get away, find that rhythm. I mean, it's been, what, 30 laps or 20 laps or so since we've actually had like a consistent string of green flag laps. Surely that must be affecting everybody out there.
Yeah, like you said earlier, Seb, cautions do breed cautions, and that has been the main story for about 20 laps or so in this race. I think the main cause of that yellow was, in fact, desperation from Brandon Gas. It looked like started right alongside Jake Ham in that outside slot, and ended up trying to clear himself to get himself right behind Jake Ham, but Josh Clogg still had his nose in there, and he just ended up turning himself and came right back across the track into the field. So desperation really starting to take some of these drivers by storm, and if you're somebody like Jake Ham trying to win this race, it's definitely going to get you nervous, as you know that the fewer the laps you have on a restart, the higher the desperation is going to be for somebody behind you to try and move you out of the way to win.
So Ham has had Andersen for company, Thompson for company at the restart, Gas as well. We can now add Jimmy Howard to that list. Jake Ham has been the master of the restart so far in today's race. What can Jimmy Howard do? Jimmy, you know, starting slightly further down the order, finds himself cycling to second. Can he make it one better and take what I would believe would be his first race win of the season? Ham going, of course, for his second win of the season and his second in the oval portion. I think we'll restart with about 4 laps to go in this race. It's worth noting that the championship leader, Thompson, he's in 5th. He'll be quick, he'll be eager to make up those positions. The pace truck lights are out. Alex, what are your predictions? Are we going to see a caution, or do you think we will see this race go green to the checkered flag?
I hope we see it go green to the checkered flag, but the chaos level is going to be so high right now, as everybody is going to do all they can in the final 4 laps to try and get themselves up towards the front. It's going to be chaos down here in Florida.
It's going to be a chaos down here in Florida. Well, what an excellent end to the round 11 of the XSLR League we have for you today. Ham gets a good restart. They're almost 3 wide in the background. That's Thompson, Clogg and Ross. Jake Ham, once again, the master of the restart. That's very high there, I think from the 33. That's Ross losing another place. Thompson using that low line, bump drafting with the 199 of Clogg. A little bit of bumpers, grinding, I think, in the background. Brandon Gas, I think, involved in that. Thompson on that low line, trying to make his way up into 3rd. He's got Clogg alongside him. 3 laps to go here at the USA International Speedway. Thompson is in 3rd, but Clogg has that outside line. Andersen now trying to find his way past as Clogg as well, but Thompson very much in 3rd now, trying to get past Jimmy Howard. Ham is starting to extend his lead up to almost half a second. Thompson, though, has the pace. He is a man on a mission. We're still green. 2 laps to go. Ham still leads, still is very comfortably out front. Once again, you can hear the unmistakable sound of carbon fiber crunching, but still no caution. There is a caution, and we will have a green-white checker. I do believe, Alex, was that Irwin involved? I think it might have been. And I don't think you could really... I think if this was a script, I don't think people would say this isn't believable, because that sets this race up to be fairly crazy.
This is going to be absolute and utter chaos when we get back green. 2 laps, green-white checker situation. They're going to take the green flag, then the white flag, then the race will be over. It is going to be absolute and utter chaos from USA International Speedway. So these guys, I mean, they're going to start to get rowdy. They're going to start to get wild, and it's going to provide us with a great finish to watch here.
Who does this... I'm just trying to work out who does this benefit the most. I think, you know, how it does, because it brings him back into contention with Ham, and Ham once again can maybe... Howard can try and challenge Ham, you know, on the restart. But I also think that this brings in Thompson into the fight as well. You know, he was very racy at the restart. You know, he's up 2 places from where he started the previous restart at, and if he gains 2 places, he'll very much be in the lead of this race. So, yeah, you know, I think the only driver this is really disadvantages is Ham, because he had that in the bag. You know, he was half a second ahead of Howard, gaining by every corner just by looking at the telemetry. So Ham, once again, really has to work very hard if he wants to keep this race win.
Well, I would say who's benefiting the most from this is going to be Adam Thompson. He'll be starting right behind Jake Hammond. If he can clear Jimmy Howard quickly, if Jimmy Howard can't stay side by side with Jake Hammond, he'll have a really good setup to maybe try and make the pass legitimately, or if he's really desperate, he could try and go for a good old-fashioned short track bump and run.
I think anything is possible in today's proceedings. I don't think you could, in all good consciousness, count out anything. But I do wonder how much Thompson will put on the line. He is the championship leader. He does have to think about those ever crucial points, although I think he's fairly far ahead in that regard. So the pace car starts another racing lap. When we get going, we'll have 2 full racing laps, although I do believe that we have a 2 green-white checker policy. So my understanding, Alex, is if there was another caution on the white flag lap, we would get another extension, but on the first lap, but as soon as it goes to the white flag, the race will be over. So Ham really just needs to survive at least 1 lap, and then the race win is all but his. I tell you what, don't count out Andersen in 4th as well. It just has a feeling, Alex, that this book isn't over. We've got one last twist in the tail tonight.
Well, at this point in the race, it really could go to anybody. I mean, so if you're Kevin Irwin and you're 7 laps down, you still really have a shot with how wild this race could get in the end. The lights are off on the pace car. We will go racing again this time by, and it is going to be absolutely crazy as everybody is going to start to try and get themselves to the front no matter the cost.
So we know that Jake Ham likes to go early on these restarts. We know how hungry Thompson is for a win. Andersen as well. He was the pole sitter about 3 hours ago when this race got underway. Ham goes early, so does Thompson. Great start from your top 2. As we go racing, 2 laps to go here at the USA International Speedway, and Howard down to 3rd. Andersen now in 4th, a little bit sideways on the exit. Howard gets a good run. Can he challenge Thompson into turns 3, the 33 and the 199 side by side? Howard, so much speed through the middle part of turn 3. White flag, 1 to go here in Florida. And who will win? Will it be Jake Ham, who has led almost from start to finish? Can Thompson pull off a fairly remarkable victory? Will Howard be able to get involved as we head into turn 3? Ham just needs to survive. He just needs to keep it clean. He just needs to keep it on the circuit. He rounds turn 4, and it will be Jake Ham who comes across the line to win here in Florida. It'll be Thompson in 2nd, Howard in third, huge accident, but it doesn't matter because it's all over. And wow.
I think a little bit of post-race fun there with that wreck. Look at them all.
What a finish. What a grandstand finish. I love oval racing. It's got to be up there with my favourite racing that you get to watch as we see more drivers just complete their cool down laps. But what a restart by Jake Ham. He was the master, wasn't he, of restarts. Every single one he nailed and took everybody by surprise each and every time.
Yeah, just really solid result. So if you don't mind, I'll take us through your race results here tonight. Jake Ham with a very deserved win, pretty much led almost the entire race there. Ends up winning the day. Adam Thompson finishes right behind him in second. Really good save from what would have been an outside the top 10 finish there with Jimmy Howard in third. A great recovery for him. Magnus Andersen brings it back up to P4 with Josh Clogg recovering in fifth. Bobby Ross in sixth there. Jerry DiPiero in seventh. Tim Cox in eighth. Jason Freites in ninth. Brandon Gass, unfortunate day for him, ends up 10th. Sam Cook in 11th. James Keir in 12th. David De Silva in 13th. Kevin Irwin in 14th. And Sebastian Bosher-Williams, he forgot to bring his truck to the track, finishes 15th.
I heard he's a very talented and very handsome driver, that Bosher-Williams folk, as we see the fairly battered car of Jake Ham. And I think we might just be able to have a little bit of a chat to your race winner. Jake, welcome once again to the commentary booth. That's 2 race wins in the oval portion of the season, I should say. That did not look easy for you out there.
I tell you what, it was a heck of a finish. I made the right choice on only taking right side tires and fuel on the first stop and ended up playing out. So it's nice to see some strategy work out.
It certainly did. Were you starting to get frustrated at the end when we had caution after caution after caution? Did you just
I was.
We could always sense it, I think, from your car.
Yeah, I think they were paying some people off wrecking so that way we could restart multiple times so they have a chance at this fast guy.
Yeah, I think I said in commentary, you know, I think at some point, you know, Jake is going to be getting really, really upset. And then I think at one point there was going to be an 18-lap caution period, which I don't know if you would have been happy with or would have been even more frustrated with. But it just looked like you had the pace, you know, all throughout the race. It just seemed as soon as the race went green, you just looked like the man to beat.
Yeah, this is the perfect track. Once you can get into a rhythm and you don't push the car, push the tires and heat them up, those tires will last you a good amount of time if you just take care of them, and it shows that it did. So I'm glad it played out really well.
Oh, it certainly did. Well, I mean, absolutely congratulations to yourself, Jake, for the amazing race win. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you awesome commentators, Slow Motion Broadcasting, thanks so much. Iowa Hawkeyes for the win this weekend, and giving me the power for the win. And then, obviously, thanks to the guys behind me that couldn't pass me.
Thank you very much, Jake. Yeah, once again, congratulations on your second race win of the season.
Thank you.
And Alex, have you managed to find anybody at all to have a chat with?
Looks like I have managed to grab the last driver that was on the podium. Jimmy Howard, hell of a finish there. Great recovery from you to end up on the podium here tonight. Hello.
Just had a long Sunday after my American football team lost and went 0-3, and so I decided somebody's got to do some winning today.
Well, you certainly did some winning there behind the wheel of that number 37 truck. How different was it to come from big 2.66 mile super speedway at Talladega down to this 3/4 mile short track?
It wasn't too bad. Just meant I had to get one more pedal involved than the other, so 2 pedals isn't bad.
Well, you know, that's pretty fair behind the wheel of one of these stock trucks, but I mean, it looked like everybody was struggling a lot out there, but how was it for you driving this thing around here?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, the tires held up pretty well, and then I pitted for tires, and then the caution came out 4 laps later, and I got some more tires and more fuel for the rest of the race, so they felt pretty fresh the whole race for me.
All right, well, while we still have you, anybody you want to thank live here on Slow Motion Broadcasting?
No, not really. I can't think of any. Everybody's let me down today except for myself.
All right, well, you know what? Fair enough. So, it was great talking to you. See you next time. Congrats on the P3. Hopefully, we'll end up talking to you soon.
Have a good one.
You too. And that was Jimmy Howitt, finished.
Oh, I think we might have just very quickly lost Alex there, but Adam, I think we might have just about, I think we got Alex back into the commentary booth, and we also have Adam.
I think what happened there, Seb, is I tried to drag Jimmy back, and then I was gonna try and drag Adam in for you, and then I think I just clicked on the interview waiting room, and
before you guys start the interview, that may have been the funniest thing I've heard in a long time, because I'm sitting in the interview waiting, talking to Jake Ham, and I hear, and that was, so yeah, that was pretty good. Anyway, sorry guys, go ahead.
Oh, I was like, oh wait, I'm in the wrong room.
Go ahead, my bad.
Well, I mean, we've got so many broadcast booths here at Slow Motion that we just get lost when we try and find our way to them. Adam, welcome. Second place, you must be pretty happy with that. I want to talk to you about that green flag pit stop. It didn't look like you took tires.
Yeah, first of all, did that race look anything like Talladega on my end when got a little bit of damage? This time it was my fault, but the green flag pit stop was dangerous, and I knew that, but the 5 cars up there, Jake, me, Bobby, Brandon, and Magnus, were all kind of nose to tail, and there really wasn't anything going on. So I decided, I had 4 laps of fuel left, I decided to come in. I was banking on a yellow eventually. I was hoping it came out sooner rather than later, but not too soon, because I would have been a lap down, and it came out as the top 3 went in and Jake Ham stayed out. And yeah, it was basically me racing back to the pace car and Jake racing out of pit lane for who was going to take that first position on the restart after the yellow came out. And Jake just got me by a little bit, but I was racing so hard that I ran it into turn 1 and then ran her right up into the wall.
I was wondering where you got that damage from, because I didn't quite remember you having so much damage to the side of your truck, so that certainly explains it. But then talk us through your thought process of coming into the pits, towards the end of the race. I think in the sort of the 3rd caution in a row, because I think I was saying in commentary, surely Thompson needs to start to think about just rolling the dice coming into the pits, and was that your thoughts as well?
Yeah, it was. So my big thought there, I didn't know how bad the damage was. I was asking drivers around me to let me know how bad it was, and I had one driver say, oh, it's just a little bit caved in there on the right side, and I had another driver, of course, conveniently, after I had already pitted, they were like, oh yeah, no, it was absolutely destroyed. Like, I can't believe you were driving the truck. So I don't know what to believe. I'll have to go back and look at it. But when I went into turn 1 after the yellow, I knew immediately that my truck wasn't turning left as easily as it should. And as you guys know, turning left is extremely important when that's all you're doing. So I was having some issues getting that thing to get slowed down and turned in, but I was still fast enough technically to hold 3rd, but Josh Clogg and Jimmy Howitt were catching me, or I couldn't gap them. So I just decided under that yellow flag to take a chance and hope for a couple more cautions, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, it certainly was the right call in hindsight. I think we had 6 cautions in that race, which I think has got to be, I think it was slightly more than Talladega a week ago. Were you expecting that many cautions when you were setting up the season, or were you a little bit surprised at how many we ended up getting to today? So
I'm not going to throw any shade on the league guys here. I threw enough shade last week at Talladega, and I can tell them now that Talladega was atrocious. Everybody's full speed, there was no reason for that many cautions. Now, when you come to a short track like this, pretty flat corners, not extremely, but pretty flat. Got to know when to brake. There will be some yellows, and I honestly expected more, Seb. You know, we had a very good driver turnout, and I want to thank all the guys that ended up showing up for this race. Yeah, it was very, very clean at the start. I harped on starts. These trucks are very torquey, especially with the gear ratio that we had set in them. So great job to all the guys on the starts. There may have been a couple little issues on the starts, but that was, you know, going into turn one, which I expected. So no, overall, Seb, as many cautions as we had, I took an over-under to myself before I started the race, and I picked the number 10, and I expected about 11. So I definitely took the over on that. So I want to say great job to everybody that raced tonight.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, Adam, before we let you go and celebrate, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, I want to shout out Jake Ham, first of all. Had a bit of remorse after me doing what I did to him at Talladega last week. I pushed him, and I think he expected me to follow him up there to get around Magnus at the end, and I stuck with Magnus because I knew I was pretty close to him, close enough in points. So great win, Jake. I thought about the bumper, but I decided not to use it, so good job on you. All the league admins. We're about to go look at incidents. Jimmy, Jerry, James Keir. Big ol' shout out to James Keir, who's also going to be in my wedding in a couple weeks, and he's going to officiate it, actually. So pretty cool that we've got some people in here that you know, you get that close with in iRacing. And obviously, I'm going to shout you guys out every week, man. There's no way that I could do this without you guys. No way that slow motion broadcasting would exist. No way for me to get mad at other league owners, because now I feel everybody's pain when they have to deal with me. So thank you guys. Jonathan especially, I want to give you a big shout out for how late I was in getting everything to you today. So thank you, man, for bearing with me, and all the slow motion broadcasting guys and the sponsors, Crohn's and Colitis Foundations. Chet Duranic, I hope you're hanging in there, man. He hasn't raced with us here for a couple weeks. He's got some personal issues. Just stay strong, dude. And yeah, Jimmy Howard as well.
Thank you very much. Before we let you go, Alex, any further questions you'd like to pose to Adam?
I just want to say, I think it was funny that I tried to commentate while in one of the waiting rooms. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was probably the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. Also, before we go, we had our first slow motion broadcasting entry this morning for the WSRL Endurance Series. You can catch them on Sunday nights in now 3 weeks' time. And Magnus Andersen and Brandon Gass were driving that car and had a bit of issues in the GT4 class there at the beginning, but they stayed with it, and they went from 10th place all the way up to 6th. So congratulations to those guys as well.
Adam, you know what I'm talking about when I say my PC did not like that race at all.
It's all good, man. All good. But anyways, no, thank you guys.
Race.
No problem.
That was Adam Thompson, your second place finisher. And wow, Alex, what a race. How do you sum up the amazing racing that we saw tonight in Florida?
Well, simply put, short track racing. Typical short track race gave us a lot of action, a lot of drama, and a pretty good finish to boot. So my applause goes to the guys over at the XSLR Championship, and hopefully we can see another good race next week's time at, I believe, Legacy Charlotte.
Yep, Legacy Charlotte. So another super speedway track should be really, really good viewing. But if you want a little bit more racing action, then coming up tomorrow night we have the XTC. That's GT3s and GT4s from Watkins Glen, and that's 9 p.m. EST. Then Tuesday at 8:50 p.m. WSRL is back for round 2, and that is from Road Atlanta, 9:05 EST on Tuesday night. We also have the AMS, which are the Mustangs, and they will be at Mid-Ohio. Thursday night, the Spec 5 World Tour Masters are coming to you from Watkins Glen. Tune in at 9:15 p.m. EST. And then, well, if you just want one last fix of 2008 Chevy Silverado's NASCAR trucks, then join us from Legacy Charlotte at 8:10 Eastern Standard Time. But, well, until then, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you once again to Alex Andersen, my partner in crime in the commentary booth, and Jonathan Grabowski, for once again putting on a superb broadcast. But until we see you next, thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you very soon.